The most common reason for the department to refuse an Australian tourist visa application would be the genuine temporary entrant requirement. This is the requirement where the case officer needs to be satisfied that the visa holder will comply with their visa conditions and that they will leave Australia before their visa expires. One of the most frustrating things I see in my work would be seeing the department using very generic and non-specific reasons in refusing tourist visa applications, and we'll go through a few examples. In this first example, we have an applicant from India who is visiting their cousin in Australia. In refusing the application, the case officer says, "In assessing these criteria, I've taken into account the information provided by the applicant in their visa application form and the supporting documents, including employment letter, leave letter, bank statement, invitation letter, among other documents. I find that the information provided is not sufficient to satisfy me of their genuine temporary stay intention, and that the applicant has not demonstrated that they have sufficiently strong commitments in India that would be an incentive for them to return to India." In refusing the application, the case officer doesn't explain why the visa applicant's documents don't demonstrate commitments and ties with India. The case officer later on says, "The onus is on the visa applicant to demonstrate their own circumstances and incentives to depart Australia at the end of their trip. After considering the information provided, I am not satisfied that the applicant genuinely intends to stay temporarily in Australia for the purposes set out above." Again, there isn't any explanation in relation to why the case officer isn't satisfied. There isn't any attempt to address or counter the explanation or documents provided in the visa application. The case officer has simply written a conclusion with no explanation. You'll find that this is a common theme throughout the department's refusal decisions. I agree with the case officer that the onus is on the visa applicant to demonstrate their ties with their home country and why they would need to leave Australia. There should also be an onus on the case officer to address the documents and information provided by the visa applicant. In this second example, we have a visa applicant who's a full-time student completing her Masters of Science in Microbiology, who's visiting her relatives in Australia. In refusing the tourist visa application, the case officer says, "In assessing these criteria, I've taken into account the information provided by the visa applicant in their visa application form and supporting documents. On balance, I find that the applicant has not demonstrated sufficiently strong economic, family and other commitments in India that would be sufficient incentive for the applicant to return to their home country. In support of the application, the applicant has provided identity documents, bona fide certificate, invitation letter, brother's bank statement, among other supporting documents. More specifically, I note that the applicant claims to be a student and has not demonstrated any strong education, financial and other ties to India. Further, the applicant has not provided sufficient evidence of strong commitments in their country that could be considered as incentives to return at the end of their proposed stay in Australia." The case officer's decision obviously doesn't make much sense, as the visa applicant is a full-time university student who has lived her whole life in India, and basically all her family and friends live in India. She's completed a bachelor degree in India, she works in India, and she's only familiar with living in India. Given all the applicant's lifelong ties with India, I'm not sure why the applicant doesn't have strong economic, family and other commitments with India. In this last example, we have a visa applicant who is visiting her partner in Australia. I won't repeat what I've said earlier, but this is just another example of the department providing generic and non-specific reasons in refusing a tourist visa application. The case officer just says that they've considered the visa applicant's documents, and again, these documents are not sufficient. This has essentially been how the department has been refusing tourist visa applications for many years now, and things are unlikely to change. The government will likely continue to use the genuine temporary entrant requirement as a filter to manage migration and risk, and allow the government to keep out those that they don't want entering Australia. Unfortunately, this can lead to some difficult to believe and ridiculous outcomes. where people who have very strong and lifelong ties with their home country, who obviously need to return to their home country, will be refused tourist visas because the department doesn't believe their need to return.